betrayal, lies, and a new dawn. My husband's unthinkable act after our loss. Life has a cruel way of showing you its dark side, doesn't it? One moment you're basking in warmth and happiness, and the next, you're plunged into a nightmare you never saw coming. My story, which begins in the most beautiful chapter of my life, is a stark reminder of how quickly things can unravel. My name is Emily, and not too long ago, my biggest worrying was deciding whether to make spaghetti or lasagna for dinner, and not that my whole existence would be shattered. James and I met the old-fashioned way, at a mutual friend's barbecue. He was the charismatic guy behind the grill, flipping burgers and captivating everyone with his stories. I remember thinking, who is this guy? With his disarming smile and the way he seemed to look right through me. It didn't take long for us to fall for each other. "Emily, you have to try my special burger," he'd say, handing me a plate with a confidence that made my heart skip a beat. "It's got a secret sauce that'll change your life." I rolled my eyes playfully. Change my life? That's a bold claim for a burger. But I'll admit, it was a darn good burger. Soon, James met Grandma. The way he spoke to her, with such respect and genuine interest, melted my heart. "I like him," she whispered to me as he went to refill our lemonade. "He's genuine. You hold on to this one, Emily." And hold on, I did. We got married in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by family and close friends. The house I moved into was already brimming with memories. The walls still echoed with the laughter of my parents. James and I began filling it with memories of our own, and it felt like life was perfect. About a year into our marriage, I became pregnant. The look on James's face when I told him was something I thought I'd cherish forever. His joy seemed to mirror mine, filling the room until it felt like it would burst. "We're going to have a baby," he said, lifting me up and spinning me around. "A little one of our own. Can you believe it?" "I can," I whispered back, "because it's happening with you." Then, the cold hand of reality struck. Losing Grandma was a reminder that life could be unbelievably unfair. She was more than just family. She was my confidant, my cheerleader, my safe space. Losing her felt like being cast adrift at sea without a compass. I remember sitting on the sofa, a cup of tea growing cold in my hands, utterly lost. James came to me, his face etched with concern. "Talk to me," he urged, his voice gentle. "What's there to talk about?" I asked, my voice heavy. "We'll get through this together, Emily. You're not alone," he said, wrapping an arm around my shoulder. As if fate hadn't already dealt a cruel hand, I lost our baby. The miscarriage was like a physical blow, knocking the wind out of me and leaving me gasping for air, desperate for answers that wouldn't come. James was there, yes, always there, but somehow, not really present. "Emily, we can try for another baby when you're ready," he said one night as we lay in the darkness, his voice devoid of the raw, searing pain I felt. "I don't want another baby, James," I sobbed. "I wanted this one. Our baby." I retreated into solitude, seeking refuge in the quiet of the house filled with too many ghosts of what could have been. I lost track of myself in that desolate place. James tried, in his own way. "Let's go out. It might help," he said, but I remained frozen in place. I shook my head, my eyes fixed on a crack in the wall, a blemish I hadn't noticed before. "I can't face the world, James. Not yet. The world is where the pain is. Emily, staying cooped up in here won't change what happened," he pressed, but his words barely registered. How could I explain that the world outside these walls reminded me of everything I had lost? That every street corner, every shop window, every smiling face, was a painful reminder of a happiness that felt like it had been stolen from me. The funeral was a blur. People left. I nodded. I shook hands. I accepted condolences, but nothing truly sank in. I was trapped in a bubble, watching life unfold around me, a life I no longer felt a part of. James was there, of course, but his presence felt more like a shadow than a source of comfort. "You're so strong, Emily," he told me after the service. I wanted to scream that I wasn't strong, that I was completely broken. Instead, I offered a weak, hollow thanks. What was the point of correcting him? The truth felt too heavy to share, even with him. As days turned into weeks, I sensed James pulling away. Maybe he was tired of dealing with someone who seemed to have given up on life. Maybe he just didn't know how to help me. Or maybe he needed an escape from the suffocating sadness that had enveloped our home. "I'm here for you, but you need to start being here too," he said one evening, his patience seemingly worn thin. My voice barely a whisper, I replied, "I don't even know where here is anymore." Frustration tightened his features. "I mean, you need to start living again, for your sake, and mine." I knew he was struggling too, in his own way. James was there, but not really. Not in the way I desperately needed him to be. As the days blurred into weeks and then months, the man who had once seemed like my anchor was becoming more and more like a stranger, always coming home late, and sometimes not at all. He barely acknowledged me, and I felt him slipping further and further away. I remember one evening when he finally came through the door. I couldn't hold back any longer. "Where have you been, James?" Do you know what time it is? I demanded, my voice shaky but firm. Work's been a nightmare, you know how it is, he replied, his voice flat, dismissive, almost. No, I don't know, I snapped back, because you never talk to me about it anymore. You never talk to me about anything. He let out a weary sigh and began to take off his jacket. Damn it, Emily, we've been through this. Work is work, and I don't want to burden you with it. But I want to share that burden. I thought that's what we did, I cried, my voice cracking. He paused and finally sat down on the edge of the bed, looking at me. I know, and I appreciate it. But you have enough on your plate. Enough on my plate, I repeated, incredulous. You mean, dealing with the loss and trying to piece myself back together? Do you think ignoring me helps with that? That's not what I'm doing. He insisted, but even as he said the words, his eyes lacked conviction. I offered you a divorce, James, I whispered, my voice breaking. I told you that you didn't have to stay with me out of pity or obligation. He looked up sharply at that. Is that what you think this is, obligation? There was a flicker of the old fire in his voice. Yes, I said, my voice barely audible. You're here, but you're not with me, not really. And it hurts. He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture of exasperation. Damn it, Emily, I'm trying. I really am. But I can't just switch off from work. It's been really tough. But it's more than work, isn't it? I pressed, the question hanging heavy in the air. You're always away, even when you're here. You've got your phone on you all the time, always texting, always distracted. He didn't say anything, just stared at the floor. Is there someone else? The question hung in the air, heavy and frightening. Damn it, don't be ridiculous, he said quickly, but his eyes told a completely different story. I felt a coldness spread through me. This was not the man I married, the man who would look me in the eyes and tell me the truth, no matter how difficult. I need you to be honest with me, James. Please, I implored, my hands clasping and unclasping nervously in my lap. He was silent for a long moment, and then, there's no one else. It's just work. You've got to believe me. I wanted to. How I desperately wanted to believe him. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and once that happens, things can never truly go back to how they were. In the weeks that followed, I watched James like a hawk, noticing every furtive glance at his phone, every hushed conversation he took outside the room. The signs were there, and I couldn't ignore them any longer. It was a Wednesday when my world finally began to crumble completely. I answered a call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello, is this Emily Stanton? The voice was male, gruff, and unfamiliar. Yes, who's this? The man paused, and then, we need to talk about your husband. My heart sank. What about him? I think you better sit down, Mrs. Stanton. The cafe was one of those nondescript places, a generic chain restaurant, and it seemed like a fitting backdrop for what was to come. I sat there, feeling numb, waiting for the stranger to arrive. He was a large man, and he sat across from me, his hands clasped together, a folder sitting on the table between us like a physical barrier.